Hello, everyone. I have been asked to speak about mission and communication in the digital age. But in 2019, the late 2019, of course, we recognized that COVID came. And so I thought it best to share something as well and to integrate what we are experiencing now in terms of the topic today. So I have entitled the topic or the theme today as Mission in the New Normal Digital Communication. I like to begin by saying that there are three variables that I would like to share with you regarding the topic. First is mission, the next is new normal, and then the next is digital communication. I don't know if you're aware, but the image on top of me is actually, I believe, represents those three in a certain way. And if you could guess, these actually little dots that you can see with different colors, but they are actually connected. What does it symbolize? The ones you see actually on top of me is actually the representation of a website and on how websites are represented. In reality, what you see as very nice are actually a bit of dots in its codes. The red dots in the website symbolizes the images that you see on the website. The gray ones, of course, are the words that you see. Each word has a color, and each word actually has is connected. Each word is connected to the other. The blue ones, of course, are the pictures that are there, along with the red ones, and the interconnections. And the green one are the links. So you see, these little dots represent something. We might see it as dots nicely arranged, or it could either be representation of also the new normal, like the viruses that has come. And then it represents connections, mission, new normal, and digital communication for me are all could all be linked together in a sense of this representational image. And in this, we would like to actually go on. So what will I be discussing today or sharing with you? Of course, mission. How do we define it? Normal, the mission, as we all know, is to be sent, is a vocation, is a gift, a charism, and likewise a ministry. We share in it, we take part in it, and at the end of it all, great part of mission is that we participate in it. Communication, of course, is something that is also inherent in each and every one of us. Communication can be defined as a means and methods of relational interaction, the little dots. Then also it is defined as transmission of ideas, attitudes, emotions from one person or group to another with the aid, of course, of instruments and extensions. Digital, of course, refers what we see now as the social media, all these things, for example, they are all the digital ones too. They are digital platforms of communication. It also refers to a period of communication wherein the contents originally only mechanical for us, the text, the written ones, the newspaper that we read, the books are actually digitized and virtualized into text, graphics, audio, and the visual, transmitted, of course, through the internet. So a very powerful element here is the internet. Later on, we will discuss it too. Computer electronic networks. It's also a collective term, the digital, for websites and applications that focus on communication, which means computer-based output, interaction, content sharing, and likewise of collaborations. The new normal, of course, refers, as we all know, to an age of disruption. It actually refers to COVID-19 and the challenges to adapt and an attitude rather than a description. The new, in this sense, becomes not only as an adjective, but actually an attitude. Our ability to adapt is actually part of that new normal. And it is also, as I will discuss later, new normal is not something new. It has been around already for many, many years, many, many years. I like to begin with this simple quote that I believe is very much true of our communication. And I read, communication and the instruments they employ are integral to each of us, to each human person. By nature, me and you are actually a communicator. Inherent in each of us is the need to communicate. As we all know, communication is not only words, even through actions, through the blinking of the eye, even through that one, through what we wear, Through time, we communicate something, and even as we all know, through silence, we communicate something. In each of us, we have our own way of communicating as well. The first one is about the new normal, as you would see in the picture uh, that I have already only taken from the internet. Uh, this picture depicts actually the Philippines and how we try actually to fight COVID, which is the little green ones that you would see in the picture here. The COVID ones, raising up the Filipino flag. These are our heroes, known heroes. And as we all know, the one in blue would be our new heroes. They are the frontliners who help us fight COVID. And also the simple layman or layperson who actually does his or her best to actually cope out the COVID-19. So it's a struggle, the new normal. And COVID-19 comes as a new journey in need of nourishment and healing from me and others. Therefore, it becomes a mission. It is a new unexpected challenge which knocks at the door of mission, our mission, and the new attitude and opportunity of hope that it always brings, the hope that is asked for each and every one of us. The new normal, of course, invites each of us as persons to deepen relationships, again, the interactions, and to go beyond proximity to real concern for the others, be they close or not. It also asks us for hope-filled goodness, awareness and concern for what is good for ourselves, and likewise the other. And what is the reality of COVID? At least likewise in the Philippines, particularly, we have some safety protocols. We have the new normal. We have the lockdown, uncertainty. We have the GCQ, ECQ, MGCQ, and other CQs, we could say. It also is the advent of flexible learning, homebound, no masses, face-to-face, but online. And then, as we all know, COVID affects everyone. No one is actually exempt from this. Yet, we journey together in the new normal. Journey, of course, is to travel beyond the road. Together implies me and the others and you. We go side by side, same goals, same mission. We walk side by side. Of course, some people may walk faster, so they go, but still journeying together. We have the same goals and same mission. Uh, One of these actually expressions, one that's nice that has happened, is about how to fight COVID, the rise of the Maginhawa community pantries. And I believe the slogan of Ana Patring, non, is actually very, very pertinent. Kumuha ayon sa pangangailangan, magbigay ayon sa kakayahan. And here we could say that it's actually being near, being a neighbor or neighborliness to each other. And for us, in the Philippines, of course, we could recognize, for us, near means malapit. But more than that, that is just being near, distance. But again, as the new normal entails to us, there's a uh, concern for the other. And so our malapit, we are challenged as a first mission, of course, to be malapit, a close concern for the other, even though we are actually far from them. But we are near with them in their concern as well for us and in at heart. Okay, we now go to mission. Mission, of course, is defined as and always related to evangelization, especially by Pope Francis. It's not just a mission. Mission is the evangelization is the mission of the church. That is very, very true. In it, it's not just a few, but it's not just for a few, but for each of us. Mission, of course, is that sending out. And Pope Francis, of course, has said, every Christian is a missionary to the extent that he or she has encountered the love of God in Jesus Christ. We no longer say that we are disciples and missionaries, but rather each of us are missionary disciples. Very nice quote from the Pope. And I guess it challenges each and every one of us. It's not to divide, I'm only a missionary. No, I'm only a disciple. But actually, as the Pope said, we are sent. And what are disciples? Disciples are actually who portray to us, who mirror to us the love of God. Keywords here, of course, is to know the faith, which is the truth, to live that faith, which is the way, and to share that faith, which is actually life. And here we could see When I saw this, I thought to myself, wow, this is a good mission representation. It's a word of faith and belief. Of course, the Catholic Christianity are the one in color violet or near blue. Yeah, and the Orthodox Christianity are the purple ones. The Protestants are the blue, and then we also have the Islam in green. And the other ones as well, the yellow and the orange, of course, are the Buddhist, the Chinese religions. Each of these actually is a challenge for mission on how we bring our religious belief into fruition so that we can all actually grow. And that is the call, especially of mission for us. We of course, can see the little dots of the Philippines here in terms of the Catholics, that we are the Catholic Asian country, that we are also asked for that mission to be actually present. So mission, again, the definition of mission, as has been mentioned, and as we all read, it's actually being sent as disciples, pastoral work in context, gifts of faith shared to all, entering into a human frontier situation, whatever, everywhere. I always believe everywhere we go is an opportunity to express mission that God has expressed as well to us. And it should be actually life nourishing relationship with the other. Mission is none other than affirming and naming each of ourselves as members of the church, affirming our similarities and likewise our uniqueness. In one of the letters that he said that he wrote, Paul has mentioned that we are the body of Christ. We belong to one body. Each of us are different parts, but each of us make that body to grow. And that is for Christ also a mission that we have to carry on. Mission, of course, as has been mentioned in the definition, requires participation to the establishment of harmony between persons. That's number one. Contributing to their growth, closer to their fulfillment, and ability to express and experience himself and others as persons. Mission in itself is the ability to see the other person as human beings in need of growth, even yourselves. Participation allows every person to experience one another as neighbor. For us, again, not only the one that are those are malapit, pero malapit. It's not just a property of the person, but it's also a task of the person to fulfill. And each of us are called to participate not only in the aspect of acting side by side with the other persons, but to participate in the humanity of each of our neighbors, in the humanity of the other, in the humanity of the other. And also, it is the ability of the person to experience the other one as a neighbor, another I. Participation allows that person to transcend, to reach out to others, and to fulfill himself. Pope Francis, in one of his letters, has mentioned that today's world, as is evident, there are many noises that happens. Too much noise, overload information, overload of many things. And how do we reflect on it? As part of our mission, there is always the need, oftentimes, for silence and reflection. To consider neighbor, the other as neighbor, and neighborliness, and to consider the new media, digital communication, as actually opportunities and not only as evil that could actually not allow us to grow, that the new media allows for that positivity. The fullness of capability to participate in the humanity of others is actually found in the word of love. And here it's actually very, very nice. I remember before when I was a child, I used to watch this cartoon. In that cartoon mentioned, I can still remember it said, love spelled backwards is actually evil. And then I tried it. I was actually in grade two at that time, and I tried it. Love spelled backward. I did spell it, but when I said love spelled backwards is evil, so it's backwards is evil. It's evil. It's not evil. I thought to myself, no, this cartoon is actually telling a lie, telling a lie. So I said, I will not watch cartoons anymore because of this. So I didn't. But when I was in college already, I tried it again. I thought to myself, why did that cartoon character did it? And then I did it again. Okay, love spelled backwards is evil. And when I reflected, I imagined and I said to myself, wow, this is actually very true. Love is spelled backwards is evil. And then I added something. The only difference is I. Whether one thing becomes a symbol of love or not also depends on me. Also depends on me. In our capacity to love, it's part of our mission. We participate in that love. And to love the other person is to affirm the other as capable of participating also in the humanity of the others. It recognizes the person that we are all tend to the good. Ayan. And we choose it freely and willingly. We participate in that good. Unfortunately, we see in the world today many things that are bad in terms of our mission. Many things, even corruption, even for everything, even those who are angry with each other, who kill each other, drugs, and all that. Many things. So there are many things like that that happens. But does it mean that good cannot exist already because of those that we see? The bad might have the upper hand for now, but does it mean that goodness is absent? I believe it can't be. And our mission in terms of participation is allowing that love, even though small, allowing that goodness to be seen in the midst of the bad, to contribute so that it can actually grow. Alienation, of course, is the denial and possibility of to experience the other as another subject. And participation is always the antidote to alienation. Good mission always allows us to participate, invites us to participate, to connect, to connect. And in connecting, of course, here we have communication as it is now. Now, this is already like communication as a conversation. These are all different types of communication that we have now, actually, in our digital world. This is we have the different one. We have the text, the writings, the videos, the music, the blogs, everything. It's in a conversation and we listen to it. Communication, as has been mentioned at the beginning, is the transmission of ideas, attitudes, emotions from one group to another. And also in terms of religious thoughts, Christ will always be the primary instrument of God's communication. That is on the document of the church, Communio et Progresso. Here, it's also nice, other than becoming religious at once, as a foundation of communication, is actually this Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Uh, and this is all known to us. The basic needs, okay, we need to feel and to communicate this. The physiological needs, safety needs, belonging, esteem, and then self-actualization. All these are actually the foundation of our communication, that we will self-actualize. But it was interesting that this was written by and suggested by Maslow in 1943. In 1943. In 1993, or I think in the 1998, along those times, Maslow actually added another one here on top. Instead of ending with self-actualization, he added another one after 50 years. What did he add? The one that he added was actually, after self-actualization, self-transcendence. Self-transcendence. In here, each of these, like this is yours indeed, each of us will want to have self-actualized. But in reality, our aim really is self-transcendence. And what does it mean? It's a form of kenosis that little by little we are able to give up something so that something else can grow. I think that is also interesting in terms of what the hierarchy of needs is. And each of us, actually, we might reach self-actualization, fulfillment, but another challenge that comes to us is the self-transcendence. What are we willing to give up so that growth and goodness can come? And here we can experience or remember, I believe, Christ on the cross, what he was able to give up in terms of doing God's plan and showing who that God lives. The nature of communication, of course, comes here. It's about information, communication, and relationship. socialization. Yan, ha? Even in the history of communication, the same is true. The earliest communication is all about information sharing, the mind and the truth. When I did this thing, it's related really to how Christ would think in the Pauline way. Anyway, how we were even to inform. Yeah, the first one. Then, of course, come the period in history when communication would take place. What are these? These are like the feedbacks to what was communicated to us. Therefore, if there's feedback, you will actually think already. So there's a will. This is what I believe. So that's our way of surviving as well as communicating. But there also comes the third aspect, which actually touches our hearts, and that is to create social relations. Rightly true, I would say much of our communication today, much of our journalism even today, focuses on information giving and communication exchange. Oftentimes, though, it falls short of creating social relations. It falls short of creating social relations. And here, people's media use ought to focus more on upholding the development of social relationships rather than that of the media. It's interesting always how when we speak of the social media, we always, this is actually part of social media. This part of social media, it is true. But I guess the difficulty of most people also is that they seem to categorize social media, limit it only to the media. And that is not true. I believe that's why there are many confusion, even fake news that happens, is because we focus here and we blame social media. We cannot blame social media. This one cannot do anything if we don't put anything on it. And what we need to put into it are actually that which could create social relations, supposed to be values. But oftentimes we really just say, okay, we need social media, therefore we need all these gadgets. It's not only the gadgets, they are only the media. What is always needed as well in terms of mission in communication is actually the social aspect. The two of them merge together. That's why to create social relations, to create value in our social media use is actually the task of mission. Not doing so reduces our media to consumption rather than conversion and also transformation. And that is actually very, very true for us as well. And here we could actually focus as well on the formation education. What does it mean? That education or formation in values is actually not to raise up only values. To teach values is very good, and to nourish. But also it means to draw forth from the other that value, that the other person understands it, to lead out the goodness in people is our mission in communication. We transmit to them an idea with the hope that they themselves can put it to heart. That is the idea, really. And the primary thing here is the human person. It's always interesting that what I'm telling you now, although there are many, like I'm just telling it to you. I'm just like teaching it to you. But the real aspect here, the real need here in terms of communicating is actually what I tell you, what I share to you now, how can it be significant in your life in a sense that it would have an effect? And that I believe is the creation of that authentic relationship that even Pope Francis always calls for. Here we could recognize the communication. Communication, as we know, there are different types. Okay, mostly communication is used as a process. It's a linear. This is basic journalism too. This is the message. This is transmitter. The transmitter are the newspapers, the radio, the TV, even the social media becomes a transmitter. And then the receiver receives them. In this sense, it's like a process, a linear approach. So in a sense, the linear approach, what does it teach? It teaches us, the linear approach, okay, that this is effective if the message that I sent here is the message that you will receive. One truth, okay? And we actually follow this mainly in our communication this time. We follow this. But another one I believe that is most true is that we use less is the communication of signs or semiotics, which is in philosophy. And what is it? It's the creation of meaning. Instead of being concerned with the process, we are concerned with what meaning is obtained from what was sent. And of course, there is this the sign, object, and concept. And here I would always like to say that in communication and semiotics, we are more aware, not are concerned more not with the process of communication, but with the meaning and interpretation that was placed in it. Like the sign. The sign of this, of course, is PEN. One truth already. The object of this is actually this pen. And then the concept of this is writing. So in communication as a sign, even for this pen, there are already three meanings. In communication as process, it's only one meaning, but here it's three. What does it mean actually? I think in communication, and I always believe now, why there are misunderstandings is because we are not used to accept the meaning and the truth that the others actually do say, and to respect it, and to get a response from what they said through what they mean that we understand. It's actually at the end of it all, it's actually asking just a simple question to the person. This is what I heard you say, and this is how I interpret it. Is that true? And to be open to it. I think there is still, in terms of mission as well, to be open to the different interpretations and as well to see the truth in each of them and to respect them. Okay, mission now in digital communication. Mission in digital communication is not just a product of revolution, but an evolution of interaction, both of being and doing here. Can you see again the interaction? So even this is not just something new. As media, yes, but social media, for example, the networks, it's not actually new. Communicating is not new. It's actually very old already. This is our means now. Therefore, this is an evolution of how we communicate. It's a help to how we communicate. And then even Illich used to say the degree with which you master your tools, you can invest the world with your meaning. But the degree with which you are mastered by your tools, the shape of your tools determine your own self-image. I always like this in terms of digital communication, only because, and what he meant, as we can see here, the degree with which we master this, in which I send something through this, therefore, it is my meaning that I contribute to the world. But the degree which I am mastered by this, that I have this 24 hours on, even in the house, even in eating, for example, I have this, then it becomes like you are mastered by your tools. And if it happens, therefore, even the shape of the tools becomes your own self-image. This becomes your image. And if this becomes your image, your identity actually disappears. Nawawala ka. Even your message becomes that of the tools. And I believe that is not what mission in digital communication is supposed to do. It's actually to highlight our identity as Christians, as God's followers, not to let us disappear. And what to appear is this. This is not the missionary. We are. This is not the disciple. We are. These are helps for the missionary and the disciples. That's what he just was saying. And then here as well, just a history. This is the history of the connectivity, that it's email, blogs, it's just digital communication already. And for us, it's very, very important just to see it. The history, of course, is like this. The oral society, alphabet society, and the virtual society. This is actually the history of the internet. When in 1957, Russia launched Sputnik. So America was very frightened. Why? Because their communication system is actually centralized here. So what America thought was, if this is bombed, all our communication system disappears. And what happens then? Wala, sabog. So it will not actually be fruitful. We would not have any more. So this model, centralized model, is a bit, there is something less for this. So what they did was centralize. So how did they do that? Different universities now are the central agencies of informations. But the thing that they discovered as well in the decentralized is if this one wants to send a message here, but if this one is destroyed or not functioning, will the message arrive? Of course, the answer is no. So there is deficiency and weakness here. So what came up next was actually the distributed ones. What did they do? They just connected the dots. And in connecting the dots, they had the distributed. So much so that if this one wants to send a message here, but if this is destroyed, will his message arrive? Yes, because it will arrive here through these paths and it can go here. This is what digital communication already does to us, even our social media use. It allows us to connect. But again, we should remember that in allowing us to connect, at the end of it all, this is what they call the World Wide Web. It's not this, it's not this, it's actually this, the World Wide Web, allowing us to connect. But again, Pope Francis said in 2014, he said, but connections are not enough. There are some who say always, yeah, the digital world is just there to allow us to connect. Very good. But that is not the end. Just to be connected. Pope Francis said, what is more important is actually building authentic relationships out of those connections. Building authentic relationships. That is actually one of the mission in digital communication that is very, very important. My social media use, does it build authentic relationships or does it create anger and hate? Ayun, that is actually part of the one that we should meditate on. And this is just like what it does to communications. The oral society, aggregative, redundant, the alphabet, analytical, and the rests. And likewise, the virtual, there is fluidity, instability, computer networks, and so on. So there was also a progress in terms of communication from the group to the singular, from the redundant to the actually objective, and also to the stable, and also to that which can arrive at the most, many people, many more people. So as we have said, the genesis of social media, it began with fear, Sputnik, but yet a promise. It also begins with a promise. It also ends up with a promise. And this is just the history. This is Tim Berners-Lee, the one who invented the World Wide Web. And there is, before it's instead of the internet, it's what's called nilnet, because it was used only for the military purposes, the internet. But then it became internet because many connections have already happened after that. The birth of Google, the birth of YouTube, the birth of Twitter, part of the history. Then even this one. That's why it's an evolution. Social media is always an evolution. Back in the BC, they already communicated. They have already socialized. So many of these have already died, you could say, but the communication continues to what we have now. The implementing framework, he as sort of formation for me, it's the basic thing is he who has a why to live can bear with almost any power. And this is each of us. We cannot also just say everything sort of in a religious way. We have also to respect the virtual publics, digital, the convergence, collective and cultural participation, authenticity, privacy and governance, of course. In our mission in communication, we as well have to take note of each of this. We cannot just say, no, privacy is not enough. It's not important in mission. Governance is not important. No, but value is important. The value is, and we should not separate from what is society as well, because we are the church is very much part of society, and our role is that why, he who has a why to live, because we believe in God. Therefore, we can actually even use all of this. We can use all of this for our growth and the others too. Digital communication, very, very Pierre Levy will always say in the collective intelligence, no one knows all, everyone knows something, and all the understanding resides in humanity. Each of us, contribution. What I know, what you know is a collective one. Mission is not only something that only one person can do, only one institute can do. It's collective. It's the body of Christ. And the tools are there so that we can amplify our capacity. That is what social media does. And to make a difference, amplify the capacity. Here, I just noted some of the things that we normally see now, the TikTok, the Zoom, the Facebook. And it was interesting because before TikTok was on the last, but now it's actually on the top. So it goes around and it will actually, even Netflix is actually here. And Netflix actually, this is now the scope of Netflix, you see. If Netflix is a religious organization, even Facebook is a religious organization, it has already actually conquered the world. But what is important for us is not who conquers the world, but what value do we bring or do we put in that conquering? What value do we have in our use of social media? Okay, so while in traditional media, the medium is the message, digital communication, the medium is really who we are. As I've mentioned at the beginning, this is not the missionary, this is not the disciple, we are. Communication in the digital world might be to some, this is important, but in reality, what is most important is the content makers and what value do they put in here. Communication now in digital communication is really who we are. The paradigms of our perception and interaction, which tend to undergo, of course, modification so as to adapt to the new medium. This is very, very true for us too. And again, communication can be defined in three nodes, as we have said: information, communication. Sometimes our communication is only about the likes and thumbs up. Yet, social relations speaks more to the heart on what it does, what you publish, what you put, what does it do. Everyone has a mission in terms of social media because everyone has a mission to put contents that could actually create authentic relationships. That is what mission, so that you can help people grow. You can help people grow. It's like these are just the nodes, which means this is our relationships with the other. Our relationship might not be that strong, so it's like dots, it's like arrows, but building communication and mission in social media with the digital methods are actually supposed to create greater relationships, not only dots, not only the dots. And here, like now, as I've mentioned here, from members to participants, synchronized, stable and fluid. So this is our identity even now too. This is our identity and our mission. From integration to interaction. From being consumer, we are prosumer. As missionaries, we should be prosumers. That we actually create relationships in that. And that does, of course, is what therefore is the place of God and mission in digital communication. It's interesting, this one that I discovered in my studies before on social media use, on how tragedy, religious identity, and social media interact. What are the commonalities? Of course, there is the self, the others, and you will see here when I was analyzing that. Seemingly, it refers to the self. Seemingly, here, what we could see, no, there is no mention of God. There is no mention of God. Even in comments that you would note, there is no mention of God, for example. But as if I could zero in here, there is actually a mention of God here with 453. So what does it do? What it taught me is this. We might not be able to see God in social media, but it doesn't mean he is actually absent. Oftentimes his presence oftentimes his presence are not in the word like God, but we find God in other words like love, brotherhood, peace, prosperity, reconciliation. All those actually are presence of God in mission. We might not see him or use him directly as words and other things, but it doesn't mean he is absent. It doesn't mean that even though the world is bad, many things bad, it's most improbable that goodness would not exist likewise in that, even a little, and it needs to grow. Here it's just a place of God in mission. how social media uh, also helps in mission and evangelization. From selling, from preaching to interactive, you can participate now many things, and all the rest of this. It's interesting. From large campaigns to producers, each one. That's why it begins. It gives greater opportunity for mission, the social media and digital communication. But as I've said at the beginning, this is not the missionary. The missionary is you. The missionary is us. What do we put here that actually could create authentic relationships? And here it was nice. These are on the schools. I just did a study also likewise before. The place of God. This is actually the one in Luzon. The keywords for Luzon according different regions here. These are schools. I interviewed, I did a survey for the parents, administrators, the staff of the school, and the students. Their concept of what are their concept? Region 1, this is in Region 1 to Region 5, this in Luzon. So the keywords that they put, their commonality is religion, Christ-centered, faith, God, and Christian. Okay. But when I went to actually Visayas, it became only 3. So Region 6 to Region 8, some of the schools there. It's all 3, religion, Christ-centered, and faith. And then when I went to Mindanao, another reality came to me. Another reality came. And that is actually, there's only one concept of God in Catholicity. It is perceived as a religion only, the single point that has all the dots in all the regions. So mission, God, Catholicity, even here is only a religion. And it brings some to mind to me. Why would that be? And how, for example, could that be? It doesn't mean they do not believe in God. No. But they believe in God, might not be the Catholic God, but they also have some religious belief. And I think that also for us to recognize and to respect it, and likewise to do our best in our mission in living our very own religious faith. And this is also why we center on Jesus Christ, and the rest are explained in many different ways. This is just not it. Here too is our place that I would like to share in terms of our digital communication. What is it? Inform, consult, involve, collaborate, and empower. This is actually like ourselves and the others. We teach, we consult, we involve the others, we collaborate, we empower. Oftentimes we hear this one now, empowering, empowering. And as we think of it, should this be the last word? Should this be the last word? If you empower, is that enough? If you empower them to do something, and then what came up to me is actually there should be another here, a sixth one. For me, for myself, and sometimes when I teach some of the students, they always recognize that might be one thing that is at least above empowerment that you give is actually the idea of inspiration. Mission in digital communication in the new normal is supposed to give inspiration and actually hope. Part of this inspiration is actually this, that the teachers have seen in the vision and mission of the school, the place of God in that mission. My personal vision should not be away from what the school wants. Because if my personal beliefs and my personal vision and mission are not in line with the school, I will be in a chaotic mode. Mission, if it is not according to the vision and mission of the particular religious group, there will be chaos. So we are supposed to align it. That's the teachers. The students are this. For them, it's actually continuity. For the students, they say, we are often reminded that grades are not the sole important thing, but character formation. Very nice what that student said. He was only grade 6. These are the actual evidences that we have attained our vision already. Simple things like courtesy, being able to share your time, being able to share your talent for the school activities, just caring for each other is actually an attainment of the vision. Very nice this. In terms of mission, in terms of the place of God, just being courteous, being able to share your time, your talent, school activities, greeting, for example, people. I think that is already part of it. And one thing that is most specific in terms of even our own, if we work in the school or even if we are teachers, is in terms of your vision and mission, even though it's not a school, even your company, okay, your vision and mission, do they remain only on the walls of your school or on your classrooms? Do they remain only in the four corners that when you leave the school, you close the gate and that's it? Mission is there in the school, safe. I believe the challenge in terms of mission, in terms of our vision, in terms of digital communication is that our vision and mission should not remain only in our buildings. It should actually be brought home. It's actually actualized there. That is creating relationships. And that is the effect. The effect. And here we could see, even in this, what therefore is mission in the new normal digital communication, it starts with me. I might be able to say, for example, if this is communication, if I ask you, okay, what's supposed to be wrong in this picture? Okay, and then when I ask many, they will say, Father, it's wrong. The poor is feeding the rich. It's not right, Father. And here it's not right, Father. It's the disabled or the people who have handicap who is helping the one who is able. It's not right. Then when we look at it again, in terms of mission, firstly, is that everyone is called to mission. It is a recognition of our weakness. We might say, I cannot do it because I don't have money. I cannot do any mission. But that's not true. But you still have the seed of goodness. So no one is exempt from mission. And in terms of the new normal, this is most effective, how we help, how our frontliners, for example, even though they know that they might get infected, they still help. That is the new normal digital communication. And what does it mean? Why did I select this event? Digital communication starts with us. We are the best instruments of digital communication. Each person. We might say we are weak, but as St. Paul says, in weakness there will be strength. So there is no reason why a person could not do mission. Wherever he is, mission is there. Wherever she is, mission is also there. I remember one nun. I was in Italy, and she was there on her wheelchair. I gave them a recollection years ago in Italy. And then afterwards, she was telling me, she was in the refectory, she was telling me, sabi niya, Father, I was actually the superior of many communities, our congregation before. But now, Father, look, I am here. I am here only in the refectory in this wheelchair. But you know what, Father? My apostolate now actually is to fold these table napkins. And he said, Father, my apostolate now, I cannot do anything very much. Pero Father, Ama, they told me to just fold the napkins and to prepare. So what I do, Father, is I really put it edge to edge, Father, this napkin. Because I know if I do it, people will a little be happy. And this is my apostolate already, Father, at this stage. Very, very nice what that man said. Very, very nice what that man said. Our mission starts from the home. Our mission starts with us, our ability to share. We are the new normal digital communication as well. And we are also the mission that is there. So, siguro yon. As an ending, how could I end it? Walter Ong, I had always liked. First of all, he says that a text attains its significance only when it is actually read. That's from Walter Ong. And so it becomes to say that mission in digital communication, I would believe, I would maintain this, attains significance only when it is lived, when it is communicated in life. You might have the best instrument of communication, but if it doesn't create authentic relationships, it is actually nothing. Like what was said in the Bible, it's like a noisy gong only, palamuti. It's like only a luxury. That mission in terms for us is communication. How we communicate with what we have is what counts. So at the end of it all, I could say this, that the pandemic is an event awaiting hope. God will always be the mission hero who champions it. Mission in the new normal digital communication embraces all with the affordance of hope in God perennially present and who communicates to us always as Emmanuel. And here, that's why I use this very much. Our mission in digital communication is actually participation. With our participation, with our connection with the others, we build the church. We build Christ's body. It is with us. We are the mission in the new normal digital communication. And the instruments that we use are there to aid us, to aid what we have to show to people. And with this, I would like to thank you again for listening and for and sharing also your time with us. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye.